Now, the first story I would like to open up today's show with, the first item, is an item that needs to be addressed. Yeah, it needs to be addressed because someone in my comment section on Facebook, and I do, unfortunately, or maybe it's good, like it's good to know what people are thinking. But someone in my comment section on Facebook, I don't know if they were trolling or who they were, but they said, Tim, you're talking about all this stuff, but you're not talking about Chicago. Okay. I've talked about Chicago. Chicago's not new. It's not new. Chicago, the issue of violence in Chicago has been in existence at least since 2013 when I covered it. I did a full series of videos covering Chicago from the top to the bottom. It's on my YouTube channel. I have almost 4,000 videos on my YouTube channel. Various topics, particularly topics that are relating to the black community, I've covered. I don't just cover Trump. I don't just cover Nancy and Bernie Sanders. I've covered a lot of content. But to your point, why not do a refresher? Because, see, I'm not afraid to address this issue. In fact, I embrace the challenge to address this issue. I love embracing truth. I love being the voice on the cutting edge. I love to be the voice that people follow, that people, oh, he's talking about it? Maybe we should talk about it. Maybe I can shame some others with much larger platforms into talking about these issues. What the hell? Let's give it a go. Because I know that you were so sincere and so helpful. You were just feeling such empathy for the people that were snuffed out in Chicago recently, the deaths that have been occurring. I know you were so moved. You could not sleep. We all know more than likely it was just your aside and a jab at me talking about police in order to distract us and say, well, what about Chicago? It's a kind of a knee-jerk reaction I get from most bigots. When we discuss problems in one area, they go, well, what about another area over here? You should deal with that. And then it'll be, if I deal with that, you'll say it'll be abortion. Then when I deal with abortion, it'll be households being broken up. But when we talk about all these things, all of them lead back to one place. Lack. We're talking about lack. But let's start from the view of the average cable news watcher, which is what I'm sure some of those people who make these types of comments are. You've heard these comments. What's going on in Chicago? Well, here goes Lori Lightfoot in a press conference where she tries to discuss the situation in Chicago.
As a mayor, as a mother, just as a human being, just seeing our babies being killed. 1-year-old, 17-year-old, 3-year-old, a 10-year-old. This can't be who we are as a city. My friend Father Mike has spoken eloquently for way too many years on this topic because it's been necessary for way too many years. And one of the things that he said that struck me and stays with me is every single one of these deaths means that we are burying our future. We are burying people whose talents we barely even had an opportunity to tap into, who have not had the opportunity to live out their God-given talent. No, make no mistake, as a person of faith, I know that the Lord has called these young people home. But dear God, and dear Chicago, we have to do better than what we're seeing.
So, Lori Lightfoot, new mayor there, following up in the shoes, taking up the reins from one Rahm Emanuel, who was also a speaker of platitudes, vacuous talk. high altitude talk that doesn't address issues pertinent to the people of Chicago, really getting to the crux of the matter of what is causing death and mayhem. This can't be who we are as a city, said Mayor Lori Lightfoot. Mayor Lightfoot, that's exactly who you are as a city. A tomb. It's exactly, precisely who you are as a city. Now, I'm not going to suggest it started under you. It didn't. I've just said for the unenlightened that I've been covering this since 2013. So, no. But for you to sit there and talk, for you to hold a press conference where you utter the words, this is not who we are. This is exactly who you are. All right? Polluters pollute. Okay? Polluters pollute. Bigots bigot. They do the act of bigotry. They perform bigotry actively. Loiterers loiter. They mill around. They don't do shit. They stand around. Well, shooters shoot, damn it, and that's what they're doing in Chicago. And killers kill, and that's what they're doing. And they're killing babies. They baby killers in Chicago right now. Whether accidentally, on purpose, or however you want to put it. Mayhem, no cause for concern over life of anyone in Chicago right now. It ain't just Chicago, but we talking about Chicago right now. Folks, don't waste your time trying to tell Tim Black, oh, don't focus on this issue. Oh, Tim Black, it ain't just Chicago. We talking about Chicago right now. Tomorrow, we talked about Minneapolis. You didn't say don't talk about Minneapolis. When I talk about what's going on, I don't know, Portland, Oregon, you never say don't talk about Portland, Oregon. We're not going to shy away from this issue. We're going to get some accountability. We're going to be righteous in here tonight. She says we're burying in our future. When she said, Michael said that we were burying our future when we bury these young people, that's Michael Flager. He's a bishop, a reverend, right? Rev Marie, I don't know his actual title. Pastor, well-renowned there in that area. And he's right, they are burying their future. Absolutely, it's a heartbreaking way to put it, but it's actually what's happening. Now, but before I move from Lori Lightfoot, because I don't want this all about her, but I must say, I don't want to hear these vacuous, non-specific chides about faith. Okay? We don't got to, she says, as a person of faith, I know God has called these children home. No! God ain't calling children to be shot in the head in their own damn homes, to be shot in the chest in cars riding with their mama, to be shot doing their homework, to be shot walking across the street. God ain't doing that. You know who's doing that? Killers are doing that. That's who's doing that. God ain't calling them home. Bullets is calling their ass home. We're going to have to keep it real in here tonight. You don't like it, unsubscribe. Don't like it, turn it off. Can't stand the truth, run. But it's going to be coming from here tonight. Okay? Send your hate mail to yourmamashouse.com. Because we ain't got time to play. Now, you say, Tim Black, you are surely riled up. You are surely pissed off. I have a reason to be. 4 children were shot. 18 people dead. 47 wounded in a weekend in violence in Chicago. I don't have a reason to be upset. I mean, if you're going to be upset about something, yeah, that would be something to be upset about. Oh, okay, I'm supposed to be upset about master bedrooms and Aunt Jemima on a name on a bottle, or black woman, heavyset black woman on a bottle. I'm supposed to be upset about what? Babies being killed. Now, what I'm going to do is, for as long as I can stomach it, I'm going to go through some of the tales of the tape. 4 children were among 65 people shot across Chicago this weekend. This article is June 29th. I'm sorry. It's not even, June 29th. Yesterday. Okay. The third. It's just turned, third. Okay. Let's start this again. 4 children were among 65 people who were shot across Chicago this weekend, 18 of them fatally. 3 of the children were killed. 6 Chicago children have been killed just in the last week to gun violence. The weekend gun violence where Chicago passed 300 homicides so far this year, the benchmark that Superintendent David Brown challenged the police not to surpass, to stay under in April. Last year, the city didn't break 300 homicides until August. So they're a month, maybe 2 months ahead of schedule. A 10-year-old girl was fatally shot Saturday night when a stray bullet hit her inside a Logan Square home in the Northwest Side. She was inside her apartment around 9:40 p.m. in the 3500 block of West Dickens Avenue when the bullet came through a window and struck her in her head. Chicago police said she was taken to Stroger Hospital where she was pronounced dead. Neighbors said she heard a gunfire but believed it was fireworks. Police say the shots may have come from a group of males who began firing at one another in a group in the block. Earlier that afternoon, a 1-year-old boy was killed and his mother was wounded in Inglewood on the south side. The woman and the child were driving home from the laundromat just around 2 p.m., broad daylight, when a gunman pulled up alongside them in another vehicle, opened fire near 60th and Houston Streets. According to police, the child was struck once in the chest. While the mother, 22, was grazed in the head, she drove to the hospital where the child died. Cook County medical examiner identified the boy as Sincere A. Gaston. He lived in South Chicago. Earlier that morning, a teenage boy was shot to death in Humboldt Park on the west side. Antreon Douglas, 17, was in a large crowd at 11:25 a.m. in the 1100 block of North Monticello Avenue when he got into an altercation and someone from the group pulled out a gun and fired shots. Douglas, who lived in Humboldt Park, was struck on the left side of his chest, taken to Stroger Hospital where he was pronounced dead. The most recent fatal shooting happened early Monday in Brighton Park on the south side. A 21-year-old man was walking about 2:22 a.m. in the 4400 block of South Whipple Street when a male suspect approached him and shot him in the face and leg. He was pronounced dead at the scene. Nearly 2 hours before that, a man was found shot to death in Humboldt Park. The 22-year-old was discovered inside a home with a gunshot wound to his chin and face. 12:39 a.m. in the 900 block of North Central Park Avenue. He was also pronounced dead at the scene. On Sunday night, a man was shot and killed in Garfield Park on the west side. The 23-year-old was found unresponsive with gunshot wounds to the hip about 11:40 p.m. in the 4500 block of West Maypole Avenue. He was pronounced dead at the scene. Early Sunday night, another man was killed in the West Pullman on the far south side. The 24-year-old was walking about 8:40 in the 12,100 block of South Michigan Avenue when someone in a black vehicle shot him in the head, back, and shoulders. He was pronounced dead at the scene. This good? This good? Let's do some more. Let's do some more. Oh, we need to talk about Chicago. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it, girl. Let's talk about it, boy. Let's talk about it. Let's have that conversation, children. Let's have that conversation, my brothers. Wolfpack, let's talk about it. 3 people were killed in separate shootings within 90 minutes Sunday morning. 3 people were killed within 90 minutes Sunday morning. The latest of those attacks off the 38-year-old man did in a little village on Southwest Side. He was walking in an alley about 8:30 a.m. 8:30 a.m. in the 2500 block of South Troy Street when someone got out of an SUV, walked up to him, and fired shots. Striking him multiple times, he was pronounced dead at the scene. Just over an hour later, an 18-year-old man was shot to death in South Chicago. Andrew Richmond was shot multiple times in the torso around 7:20 a.m. 8200 block of South Escanaba Avenue. He was taken to the University of Chicago Medical Center where he was pronounced dead. About 20 minutes before that, another man was shot in Rogers Park on the north side. 19-year-old was walking about 7 a.m. 7 a.m. in the 1400 block of West Lunt Avenue when someone walked up to him, shot him in the back of the head. Police say the shooter then ran and jumped in an SUV and sped off west on Lunt toward Clark Street. The man was taken to the St. Francis Hospital in Evanston where he was pronounced dead. Early that morning, a man was shot and killed in Austin on the west side. Officers responded to a shot spotter alert for a gunfire at 3:54 a.m. They found a 28-year-old man lying unresponsive on the sidewalk. He had been shot in the back and face. He was pronounced dead on the scene. Another man was killed and 3 others were wounded late Saturday night in Douglas on the south side. The men were at a large gathering around 11:35 p.m. On the 3100 block of South Rose Avenue where they were struck by bullets. They were all taken to the University of Chicago Medical Center. A 24-year-old man was struck in the groin, was pronounced dead. 2 21-year-old men were shot in the leg, one in good condition, the other in fair condition. A 22-year-old man was shot in the head. He's in critical condition. Detectives took 2 people into custody for questioning. Earlier that afternoon, 2 people were killed in separate shootings in Brighton Park and South Shore. In Brighton Park, officers responded to a shot spotter call about 3:50 p.m. 3:50 p.m. Found 31-year-old David Santallos unresponsive with a gunshot wound to his head. He was taken to Mount Sinai Hospital where he was also pronounced dead. We good? There's about 20 more of these. If you want to talk about Chicago, let's talk about Chicago. Now we get to the part where it's not just reading over statistics of these people whose lives were snatched by gun violence on the streets of Chicago. Now we can talk about something that we never hear anyone talk about. Something that the person who posed the question that won't you talk about Chicago never brings up. Something that you do not have the stomach to deal with is, why are they killing each other in Chicago? You say, oh, we need not talk about cops killing us because people in certain neighborhoods are killing each other over resources. So therefore, if you live in Minneapolis, or if you live in Maryland, Waldorf, Maryland, or if you live in Hyattsville, Maryland, or if you live in Washington, D.C., or if you live in New Jersey, the East Shore, wherever if you live in, you can't talk about police violence where you live because in Chicago, according to these people, there's violence there on black people, by black people. First of all, that is bullshit. It don't even make sense. Every neighborhood you go to that is high poverty, high unemployment, dad's already been locked up, shoved through the mass incarceration system that chews you up, spits you out, removes families, men from the household through mass incarceration, through, oh, he had some weed, or, oh, he stole a Slurpee one day back in 1992. No BS, there are people in jail for petty, petty crimes. Any neighborhood, any community that has, once again, high poverty, high unemployment, missing parents, missing family members, drugs, guns, lack of resources, lack of hope, you're going to get crime. Any country you go to, anywhere you go to on the face of this earth, where there is those things that exist, the petri dish of things, scientists know when you put certain ingredients together, physicists know when you provide certain chemicals together, you're going to get a reaction. A certain reaction takes place. When you combine, for instance, if you combine certain substances like, oil and fire, gasoline and fire, you get what you get. Boom. It don't matter. It's not because gasoline is bad and fire is inhumane. If you put those things together, you get this. We understand how these things work. This is metabolically true. This is just science. This is what you do. You put this together with this, you get this. You put drug addiction. You put lack of education, horrible schools. You put unemployment. You put poverty. You put sustained over generation upon generation of lack of proper education. The worst education system, the worst schools in the black neighborhoods, where you also put low-income housing, where you also put drugs, where you also put guns, and then you go, I don't know what's going on with these people. Why are these people doing this? You set up government, you put up government statutes, laws for centuries, for a century, maybe two, where you hold down, specifically more than two. God, for 400 years, you put in place a system of rules that says these people will not succeed. These people are lower than these people. And then when these people believed what you said, what you beat into them, literally beat into them for 300 plus years, that they were less than. 3/5 a man, not equal to you. This is what white supremacy is. You beat that into people's heads through the fear of death. You took books from them with the fear of death. And then when they started to believe it, you go, see, they're not shit anyway. They're garbage. See? They're animals. What did I tell you? You made them that way. And then you have the audacity to put to us people who just want to live good lives, who just want everything that you have had the opportunity to pursue. No, you haven't I'm sure many of you haven't had it easy. I'm sure many people who are watching this video right now have not had it easy. But if you are not a black American born in America, and look, I'm not talking, I don't want to drive divisions against other people of other nationalities who have black skin. I can only speak to my condition, my experience, my history as a black American born in this country. You have your story, I'm telling this story. No disrespect. But unless you have lived that discrimination in America as a black person, unless your parents lived that, unless your parents' parents lived that, unless their parents' parents lived that. If you haven't lived that, you cannot tell me that you understand what has become pathological, what has become embedded in these societies based on that treatment, based on the conditions. These were not accidents. It was all intentional. And then you have the audacity. You have the audacity with a straight face to say, why don't these people respect life more? You spent 300 plus years telling these people, telling their fathers and their mothers and their grandfathers and that they weren't shit. And then when they believe it, you say, see, I knew it. I knew it. So now you can do with these people. You don't take responsibility for the laws up until late 60s. We had lynchings into the late 60s in this country at least. Notwithstanding current conditions, current situations that look very eerily similar, okay? Not given the rights, civil rights just 50 years ago. 50 years ago, civil rights in this country for black folks. And you have I can't understand it. You have the audacity. Do you know what a civil right is? Do you know what that gives you? Listen, I know you may not have had it easy in your life, but you haven't had it hard because you're white. You've had it hard, but you haven't had it hard because you're white. Black people have had it hard in this country because they are black. Not because they bad people, not because they was murderers and killers and rapists like Trump likes to say about Mexicans, which is not true. Most people who are undocumented people come to this country who are just not on paperwork. Last thing they want to do is get caught for anything. They don't want to spit on the sidewalk. Y'all believe, these fools believe that shit. These people are walking a thin line. They know it. They'll be abused and taken advantage of first before they call the cops. Last thing they want to do is cause problems, to be put in jail. Because they know what that means, deportation. My point is, you may have had it bad, but you didn't have it bad because you were black. You didn't have it bad because you were white. You had it bad because you had it bad. You had it bad because dad drank. You had it bad because mom left dad. You had it bad because somebody died early. You had it bad because somebody didn't do right with the money. You had it bad because somebody had a gambling addiction. These are different than the only fault, the only thing that you did was be born in America black. No loan, You could go fight the war, come back, no GI Bill. You can't buy property here. You got to go live here. Then we got the KKK, other hate groups running people away from their homes. We have terrorism, domestic terrorism against these people by their government and by racists and by cops for 300 plus years, and it still ain't stopped. And then you had the audacity to say, what's up with Chicago? When we say we want things better here, you say, what's up with Chicago? If you really want to fix Chicago, let's put some resources in Chicago that helps make Chicago livable for people in Chicago. Look, I'm not saying there's some people that are beyond being reached. I'm not going to say there aren't some people who are beyond for whatever reason. They have made a decision. They have so much pain, so much trauma that maybe this doesn't apply to them. But for the large amount of people, I'm an old man at this point. Once you hit 40, it's over. But I can tell you this, I've never met anybody who wanted to deal drugs or clap people who had a good job, had good money, and had a place to stay and a family around them that loved them. And I just swung in a lot of different circles and known a lot of people. People know Tim Black. People, I come from the hood. That's where I'm from. I'm not from some boarding house. I didn't live with a family from out of the country who took me in. I don't have these types of backgrounds that some of the people that you want to group me with did. Okay? I'm not a trust fund baby, some weird I'm just a regular, poor, middle class, shop at the thrift store, live with roaches, kid growing up, black kid, didn't know how poor we was till I met white people. Just like Dave Chappelle talks about, but worse, because my parents were not a professor and a teacher or an engineer. You understand? So what I'm telling you is, even in my travails, my travels, my experiences, I never met anybody who had security, stability, a pathway, a clear pathway, a dad, a mom, not on drugs, not in jail, alive, that said, man, I got all this in front of me. I can do all these great things, and it's laid out. I can go to college, and my family, we can afford it, and no one's abusing me, and we can afford me to do this, but I don't want to do none of that. Nah, I'd rather go sell some rocks on the corner and get shot in the head. No, I've never met anyone who ever thought that way, that I've known personally, okay? You said you wanted to know why. You said you want to know why. When I don't give you the answers why that you want to hear, you say I'm deflecting or I'm making excuses. Unless what you want to do is you want to say it's all black people's fault. You don't want to say it has anything to do with the government. And I notice no one's saying it's a conspiracy. If 20 white people get shot in the movie theater, it's a conspiracy. If 50 black people die on a weekend, it's just what happens. I don't hear long documentaries. I don't hear long explanations for what's happening in Chicago. Where's your theories about why this is happening? I'd like to know where they are, why don't they exist for us? Why don't you have long, outlandish stories for what's happening to these black people in Chicago? And Latino people too. The young lady was 10 years old who was shot in her home at 9:45 or so. No conspiracy. No cops doing it to try to get us back. No Russians doing it, huh? No Russians, no deep state activity, right? No, because when black people die, they just die, Johnson. They just kill each other. There's no reason. There's no cause and effect. There's no mitigating circumstances. They are just animalistic, cannibalistic, tribalistic. They just do this because that's what they do. These are the narratives that are spun by Tucker Carlson. These are the narratives that are spun by the right wing. These are the narratives spun by people like Candace Owens and these other people that I call out constantly, that some people defend. And hopefully I've started to shed some of those people who thought just because I was not a fan of Nancy Pelosi and I called out Joe Biden, that I was somehow grouped with you. We are not aligned. We are not aligned. We are not aligned. I'm not a self-hating black man. I'm aware of what's going on in this country. Now, what can we do about it? Once again, want to solve it, Lori Lightfoot? First, stop giving me platitudes about what's happening in Chicago. Stop talking about we need to hold hands and sing. Stop talking to me about what the guy done called the baby home. What you need to do is develop resources for these children, after-school programs for the kids. Kids not even in school, it's even worse. What you need to do is make resources for people who live in these areas who, when you go to jail, you get out of jail, what can you do? We got to start changing the laws as if we actually care about preserving life. You know, give people a pathway so that they can be acclimated to society and actually contribute and actually have self-worth where they can value themselves more by being able to have a job that sustains them, not just be put back in the system. Someone with an average person with a felony, which is typically a plea bargain that they took because they don't have representation, is on papers just waiting to go back. Any little tiny infraction to go right back in the system, prison labor to be used again. You think slavery ended, it did not end. You just think it did. These are the lifestyles. These people, most of these people in these neighborhoods have PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, with more people dying in Chicago than dying in Afghanistan. These people got PTSDs. Everybody in Chicago knows somebody who was killed in Chicago. And then you say, what's wrong with the people in Chicago? Probably most of them need mental health assistance, guidance, and treatment and therapy. Want to give them that? No, you don't want to give them that. You want to support Donald Trump, who wants to cut taxes for the rich. Or you want to support Barack Obama, who wants to cut taxes for the rich. We all heard this before. We know how this goes. But people want to talk about solutions when I'm giving you solutions. I'm saying let's give Medicare for all. Anybody who's hearing, anybody who wants to go see a doctor can go see a doctor, whether it's mental health or whether it's physical health. Anybody who needs housing. You know, if you're convicted of a crime, you can't even get public assistance. You can't get food stamps and you can't get housing. What do you do with a person? What does a person do who can't find a job? They have a record. It's already hard enough to find a job if you're a black person. It's already hard enough. Okay? Black guy, white guy, same record. White guy 50% more likely to be called back than the black guy just because the names sound black. Okay? So let's keep it real. Let's act like we know something. Let's act like we care about the problem now. So you coming out, so it's already hard because you black. You understand what I'm saying? White people don't have that problem. How many white employers go, oh God, this guy sounds too white to work here? Oh my God, what do they picture when they read the white guy's name? Do they picture gangbanger, thug? When they read Jeremy Bartholomew? No, they don't picture that, do they, Johnson? They call him back quickly. So we have that problem. You wanted the long form version, right? You want to talk about what's going on in Chicago, but you don't really want to talk about it. Because see, when we start doing it, it starts an indictment on the system. And we all know who has power in the system. And it ain't us. We have never had the power in the system. You heard him say it, white power. You know who's had the power in America? White people. Built for America, for America. That's why the statutes can be hell of offensive to us and you not care because it's your country. It's your country. We are outsider in your country that you came and got us. And when I say what's going on in Chicago, I lay it out for you. You don't want to hear it. So back to that former, the convicted person who was railroaded by a system, set up to destined to fail, wrote bad, shitty schools, dad in jail, probably some petty drug offense over a plant that's now legal in most states. He's still in jail. Okay, here we go. When that young man comes out of jail, he can't get public assistance. He can't get housing assistance. He can't find a job. What is he going to do, Johnson? Everybody can't rap. Everybody can't ball. Okay? What's he going to do? I just want to know. You say, see, you want this to be a deform. You want this to be a lack of character. You want this to be a deformity and integrity. You want this to be something that's personal, because then that absolves you of all responsibility. It absolves your government. It absolves our leadership. It absolves our president, your president, 45 and 44 and 43 and 42. It absolves them. It absolves our whole system. But you can't absolve it. What you have to do is recognize this system is horrible. It's been horrible for a long time. These are cause and effects of a system that's been corrupt. And it is not incidental or coincidental that black people find themselves at the bottom of the economic stratus of this country, though we've been here as long as probably almost as long as Native Americans, second to Native Americans. Most of you were still coming over here while we were over here. We beat you over here on the boat, okay? Some of you came after we were already here on the boat. You came on the boat later. You understand? And we're still on the bottom rung in this society. And you say, what's up with Chicago? Resources, hope, better schools, mental health. Assume that anybody who hears that their best friend got his brains blown out of his mama, got shot, or dad has been in jail his whole life, needs therapy. But you don't want to give us Medicare for all, though, because it's not a priority. Just admit black lives don't matter. Just admit it. You don't give a shit. Because if you did, what I'm saying would not sound like an indictment of you personally, but of the system that exists. What's happening in Chicago is horrific. I'm not a magician, right? I'm not psychic, but I know part of the solution has to be putting resources in place, putting mental health in place. Logic dictates that there are people who are suffering immense amounts of trauma in this country, in Chicago, just by living in Chicago and living in a war zone. And you say, won't the killing stop? They're living in a war zone. And I'm not altogether positive that people don't know what's going on in Chicago. Some of these shootings in broad daylight, the way that they're occurring, they're too brazen for the average, just run-of-the-mill type of, I mean, I know I'm old school, you know what I'm saying? You know, but I got a feeling that there's something more connected. Maybe there's some turf war, maybe there's something going on, maybe there's a drug war, I don't know. There's something going on that has this spike in this activity. But if we want to mitigate it, if we want to start addressing it, we got to address the core causes, not just the symptoms of this issue, not just the after effects of what's been going on in Chicago and many other cities across this country. It's not just Chicago. So if you are really on board and if you really give a damn about Chicago, we can have that conversation. Are you down to have that conversation? Do you really want to have that conversation? Or do you just want to distract and deflect from the fact that we got young man Elijah McClain killed by a cop when he was injected with a needle for doing absolutely nothing, and somehow make those things cancel each other out. They don't cancel each other out. Wrong is wrong, and nobody pays guys in Chicago that I'm aware of. No one pays them to kill us. We pay cops. They do so with immunity, qualitative immunity, meaning not prosecuted. You understand what I'm saying? No person in Chicago committing any of these acts that are repugnant, horrific, horrendous, do so with immunity. All right. I want the solutions too. I hope that you are sincere. If the news you watch makes you more confused after you watch it, watch the Tim Black Show and know what's going on. Go to patreon.com, Tim's Take Live. Join today.